Bangladesh is one of the few Muslim-majority countries where prostitution is legal. Brothels are prevalent at major, densely populated railway junctions, including the district of Tangail. Approximately 6 hours from the nation's capital Dhaka, this district is home to a brothel called Kandapara. While brothels exist in many countries irrespective of their size or economic status, Kandapara stands out. The Kandapara brothel is the second largest in Bangladesh, boasting a history spanning over 2 centuries. Beyond its weathered brick barrier lies a realm seemingly untouched by the passage of time, forming a distinct microcosm. Within this brothel, a unique ambience prevails, characterized by individuality, scents, and sounds that are one of a kind. At its core, as one might expect, the primary activity centers on the provision of intimate services. The cramped lanes and alleys have a bustling yet vibrant flea market atmosphere. Yet, in this setting, the merchandise comprises women of diverse ages positioned in front of rooms, anticipating the arrival of patrons. Upon mutual agreement on a price, transactions unfold. In adjacent compact chambers, a ceiling fan circulates air, while a shelf accommodates personal possessions. Against one wall is a bed, embellished with a lively floral design, leaving room for a petite shelf and some flexibility. This room serves as both home and workplace. During non-working hours, Rupa, a sex worker, and her husband live in this room. When she engages in her profession, however, the room transforms into a workplace. Consequently, her husband has to reside elsewhere temporarily. Rupa has been a sex worker here since 2009. On the day of her arrival, she was just 13 years old. Rupa revealed that she'd been married before, but tragically her first husband passed away. Subsequently, she decided to seek employment in the capital. While on a bus, she fell victim to deception by a woman who promised her a job. It wasn't until she arrived at Kandapara that she discovered the nature of the work she'd unwittingly been brought into. The standard rate at which a broker traffics children or young women is typically no higher than $250. Upon being sold, these individuals become trapped within the enclosed premises without any funds and with only minimal belongings of their own. They are compelled to engage in sex work until the debt owed to the brothel keeper for paying the broker is completely repaid, and more. Rupa told us that she cried when she was forced into sex work. Longing for an escape, she discovered from the brothel keeper that she'd been sold for $225. The brothel keeper mentioned that if Rupa could pay her $900, she would be allowed to leave. Consequently, she found herself compelled to stay there, to pay for her promised freedom. A young and innocent girl is enticed into prostitution, reminiscent of a soap opera from a time when the world was less advanced. This is, however, the present-day reality in this ancient brothel. In Bangladesh, a significant number of girls have been deceived into the sex trade, while some have been sold by their families due to poverty. Nevertheless, there are also those who made the decision to enter of their own accord. Mariam, a sex worker in the Kandapara brothel, has been here since 2016. After her father's passing, the family faced a lack of income. Some weeks they'd go without food and only have water to drink. Driven by poverty, she made the decision to come here, and her income now serves as a lifeline for the family. Previously, Mariam worked in a garment factory, a common occupation for millions of Bangladeshis. The country's recognized as a global powerhouse in unskilled labor, with low wages allowing it to produce and export 1/5 of the world's clothing. It's quite possible that the clothes we're wearing originated from her or someone else's labor in this factory. The wages she earns from sewing amount to $21 per month. Despite her hard work, this was never enough to make ends meet. So she decided to change jobs, initially working as a housekeeper before eventually becoming a prostitute in Kandapara. Mariam says working at a garment factory and being a housekeeper made it challenging to earn a living. After contemplating this decision for a long time, she eventually came here. She wanders the path of the poor with limited options. It's been 3 years since she began working here. Her income supports the family, as she sends all the money home. Occasionally, people in the neighborhood question her family about why they allow her to work in such conditions. Mariam knows, however, she hasn't scammed or stolen from anyone. Her earnings are the result of hard work, and there's nothing wrong with that. Upon settling their debts and securing their freedom, numerous women opt to remain and continue working at Kandapara, primarily due to the scarcity of alternatives beyond its confines. Bangladesh, recognized as one of the world's poorest nations, poses additional hurdles for these women. The absence of education and a history in prostitution further restrict their employment choices. Ascending to the role of brothel owner emerges as one of the few available career avenues for them. Kandapara is akin to a town or village that serves as the domain of those involved in the sex trade. Within its confines, there are restaurants, tea shops, and stalls offering various goods. The majority of rented rooms are owned by brokers, brothel keepers, or former prostitutes who have elevated their status. Akilima Begumaki is one such. She started her career as a prostitute at a time when there were no regulations. After years of hard work and challenges, earning an average of $1 per appointment, she had accumulated enough money to own 4 apartments in Kandapara by the time she was nearly 60 years old. Akilima told us that she worked as a prostitute from 1988 to 1996, saving enough of the money she earned and funds received from aid organizations eventually to purchase a room here. In addition to owning a rental unit, Akilima serves as the executive director of Nari Mukti Sangha, or the Sex Workers Union in Kandapara. The union collects funds from its members to provide benefits, including the purchase of condoms for distribution to the sex workers, offering medical treatment and safety measures, and ultimately covering the costs of funeral arrangements. Akilima guides us on a walk through Kandapara's maze of alleys, necessitating us to hold her hand to avoid getting lost. The funeral pavilion is in the far corner next to the wall. When a Kandapara resident passes away, the body is brought here for a ceremony before being transported to the cemetery for burial. Akilima mentions that before 1960, the most common cause of death was suicide, often by hanging or at times by cutting one's own throat. Some individuals resorted to setting themselves on fire or taking an overdose to end their lives, while others simply passed away naturally. Following death, the body would be washed at the pavilion. They were then laid on a litter before being transported to a cemetery for prostitutes. Sex workers are not allowed to be interred alongside the general public. The reason behind having a separate cemetery is rooted in societal perceptions that prostitutes are sinners. A red brick wall looms overhead, obstructing the view for outsiders. Black stains scar the top, remnants of a past fire. Inside, the bricks form long, orderly lines, and rows of small shop houses are topped with brand new tin roofs. It retains its fresh appearance because following the 2014 arson by extremists in Bangladesh, which destroyed the old brothel, restoration was carried out with the assistance of a private organisation. Despite facing opposition, it is notable that in comparison to poorer countries, the prevalence of HIV is remarkably low in Bangladesh. This can be attributed to the existence of brothels and extensive advocacy efforts by various private organisations promoting safe sex. This is the nature and conditions of this legal and organised sex work. Apart from the 10 legal brothels scattered across major cities, there are a significant number of other sex workers, particularly those belonging to the third gender, or hijras as they're called locally. As same-sex sexual activity is illegal, hijras are barred from openly engaging in prostitution or working in brothels. Consequently, they must conceal their activities. Mary, a hijra sex worker, invites us into the workplace. Mary says that they attend events to dance, and individuals interested in their performances approach to exchange numbers. After that, they engage in conversations, and if a mutual interest develops, they may decide to meet for sex. Some prefer communicating solely by phone, though. The tiny square room serves as both a home and a workplace, but lacks cleanliness and hygiene. This occupation is rife with risks and is without legal protection. Incurring severe consequences, engaging in same-gender sexual relations is strictly illegal. Nevertheless, there is significant demand for the services of hijra prostitutes. Mary told us that many clients are seeking new experiences, reflecting a shift in their perspectives on hijras. Additionally, there are those who mention being open to the idea of marrying someone of a third gender, attributing positive qualities to them, such as having kind hearts. Determining which have the better living conditions between female sex workers and hijras is complex. Women in brothels may appear to have less freedom. They are confined to a specific area and compelled to accept all customers unless they manage to pay off their debts. On the other hand, they do have a designated place of work, and there's a labour union working in their interests. Hijra sex workers, on the other hand, face greater risks, as they have to roam the streets until they find a customer, often experiencing harassment. Ivan Ahmed Kata, the president of the non-profit organisation SSHS, which advocates for the rights of hijras, highlights the unfavourable status of males involved in sex work. Ivan claims that so-called third genders engaged in sex work are grouped together with male sex workers, leading to a deprivation of the rights they deserve. Although the government in Bangladesh acknowledges the existence of the third gender, the recognition falls short, leaving them in limbo between them being categorized as women or men. Regardless of whether one is a female or a hijra sex worker, everyone shares a common goal: the desire to earn a living. The cost of the service is negotiable, ranging from as low as about $1 to as much as $7. Receiving such a small amount of money left us dismayed.
If you want to see more great content from all over the world, please like the video, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you.
The young women we observed in the Kandapara brothel appeared plump, a trait desired by the majority of men in this area. Orodexon, a steroid used on livestock to expedite the growth of cows, lies behind the plump appearance. By law, an individual engaging in prostitution must be at least 18 years old. In reality, though, girls as young as 12 to 14 have already started this work, with the brothel keeper providing them with Orodexon injections or pills. These girls are subjected to the use of dangerous drugs intended for animals. The purpose goes beyond adding weight. It's also aimed at making the teenagers look older than they are, to deceive officials. This drug has severe side effects, weakening the immune system and elevating the risk of high blood pressure and diabetes. Behind the meagre income, which barely allows ends to meet, lies the pain of the young women, a suffering they must endure. Rupa expresses her dislike for the sex service, mentioning the physical pain it causes. Similar to Mariam, she's unhappy with her work, sometimes finding herself lying down and crying. She did try to quit the job for 3 or 4 months, but left with no income to buy food, she had no choice but to return to work. All of them do, however, share the hope for a better life and aspire to be free from this work one day. Rupa says she desires to lead a regular life like any ordinary person. Instead of being confined here all day, she yearns to go out and experience life. Living outside would bring her genuine happiness. Mariam dreams of having a good family. If she didn't have to endure this work, she would probably have a husband and children. She does currently, however, have to provide for a family of 6. As the eldest, she takes on the responsibility for the living and education expenses of all her younger siblings. While her own life may have taken a difficult turn, Mariam is resolute in ensuring that the younger ones don't have to endure the same hardships, aspiring for them to have a successful life. As for Mary, she said that given a choice, she would not earn a living in this job. Her aspiration is to have a family with a partner and not engage in this work. Even more tragic is that whether it's been 3 years, 4 years, or 8 years, life behind the wall has utterly shattered the dreams and aspirations of many young women. Rupa shared with us that she lives in poverty and has no dreams. It is common to strive for what is desired in life. As for Bangladesh, despite its small area of 148,460 square kilometers, it is home to a large population of approximately 180 million people. 1/3 of its population, or nearly 60 million people, live in poverty. These individuals are compelled to endure hardships and strive relentlessly to survive, even resorting to selling their own bodies. Kandapara has existed for a long time, rising again like a phoenix after being devastated by a fire in 2014. Though the physical structures may have been razed, the way of life for its people endures, encompassing both moments of joy and enduring challenges, as it has for over 200 years.